Happy to be here with you today, and my plan is to get 3 messages for you, or just general messages for you from Spirit at the time that you view this video. My plan is to pull 3 cards to see what story wants to come through with 3 cards. We'll see how many actually come out. I might look at the bottom of the deck as well. So let's take a deep breath together and see what messages Spirit has for you today. Oops. There we go. 2 of materials flipped over, and then we'll see what these 2 are. Ooh, 8 of voices in reverse and 4 of voices. Voices are, so materials are pentacles, voices are, oh my gosh, voices are swords, and at the bottom of the deck is the star. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Doesn't this star like feel like these tulips that like, especially, I mean, the color, but then also like this shooting up sort of energy, like the way they wanted to be positioned was like up and out. And the star, let's start with the star, shall we? So bottom of the deck to me typically represents kind of the why behind what you're being asked to do, the insights you're being asked to have. So typically I think of like the cards that come out here in the spread as more of like the what, and the bottom of the deck is kind of like that underlying why. Well, the star is just such a beautiful card, and honestly, I'm just a little blown away by how similar it is to these tulips. But it's such a beautiful card to me of healing and wish fulfillment. So this idea that that healing leads to wish fulfillment. But also that, like, well, I guess, yeah, maybe that's the best way I want to put it for right now, that whatever healing you're doing, it is leading to wish fulfillment. And it's so interesting because that's what's coming out here in these 3 cards. But before we do, I'm just like, I keep thinking of the bottom of the deck. Okay. Or I'm sorry, I just kept wanting to see what was beneath the star. And we have the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Emotions. And we have a white horse here in this. I think I would like to look up the symbolism of white horses. So give me one moment to do that. Okay, so to do that, we're going to use this Spirit Animals guidebook. So let's see. Give me a second here as I go through the alphabet, say the alphabet in my head. Okay, here we are, the horse. It says you're about to embark on an unexpected adventure and will have to move quickly once it is initiated. It is time to free yourself from those physically and emotionally constrictive aspects of your life. That is wild because we have the 8 of voices here in reverse. That's the 8 of swords in reverse. And we'll, I'm going to I'll pull out the standard depiction of it, but or maybe I don't have to. It's the standard depiction of the 8 of Swords is like a person that's bound. And you can even see, I mean, it has a sort of bound, difficult sense in this depiction of it as well. But essentially, it's like how we limit ourselves unconsciously until we bring it to conscious awareness. So that's just crazy that this white horse wanted to be seen, and it's time to free yourself from those physically and emotionally constrictive aspects of your life. If you need to call upon the reserves of stamina and strength you need to call upon reserves of stamina and strength to get through this ordeal. You're much more powerful than you think. This situation requires strong warrior energy, balanced with sensitivity, patience, and compassion. Teamwork with your family, friends, or community is important right now. And then I believe, let's see here. Yes, he has white horse. So let's see what it says about a white horse. You are very well protected from any negative or harsh psychic attacks. You're being called to investigate other spiritual realms and dimensions through meditation, a vision quest, or shamanic journeying. Let go of any shame or guilt that is a result of childhood conditioning. Wow. That is beautiful. So that's right under the star. So again, we have this healing energy that leads to wish fulfillment. That's what these messages from Spirit are about. The idea that the horse is I really got the sense of like that you are protected in this healing journey, And as you are going through it, to really focus on liberating yourself from the ways that you limit yourself. So bringing them from the unconscious to the conscious, correcting that, and then more and more moving forward with that strength and capacity. So as I'm saying all this, I literally just recorded a different reading where I looked at the past, present, and future of a long-standing problem that you are facing and kind of the energy that needs to be embodied in order to finally bring resolution to this problem. And I'm just getting the sense, especially because like that white horse came out and it was like, you might require a lot of strength and stamina right now to get through this. And then we have this healing card that ultimately leads to wish fulfillment. I'm wondering if there might be some messages for you in that particular reading. So if any of this is resonating and you're intrigued by that reading, I will link it up in the description box of this video for you to check out once we're done debriefing this energy. So with that being said, let's debrief this energy, the 3 cards that came out. Again, we have the 8 of Voices in reverse. I love when the 8 of Swords comes out in reverse. I think it's one of the most powerful cards to come out because, again, I think there's nothing more frustrating, humiliating, annoying than holding ourselves back, right? And it can be so difficult because we're almost like a fish in water. We often don't see how we're holding ourselves back. So when the 8 of Swords comes up in reverse, to me, it always feels like not only like a detoxing of that energy towards liberation, but a movement from the ways we hold ourselves back to being unconscious, bringing light to it, to the conscious realm, so that we can correct it and correct it for good. You know, like once you know something, it's hard to not be aware of it, right? And so I just think there's such beauty here. And the messages, so in this 8 of Voices, there's definitely like a shadow work aspect to it. So shadow work to me is just doing whatever we can do to baby step by baby step raise our awareness. So that might be through therapy or coaching. That might be through support groups. That could be through journaling or meditation. But just really getting curious about what am I doing? Not in a shameful sense, just like in a curious sense. What might I be doing that is holding myself back? And again, as I say this, so in the last reading that I just recorded, I mentioned this journaling exercise that I have on a different channel. And I'm getting the sense again in this reading that it might be a helpful one for you to check out where, so it's on a different channel of mine where I do more like holistic health and yoga and Pilates videos. And this one's all about emotional health. And it's really about like without shame, but with curiosity and with a looking clearly at yourself, what might I be doing that is holding me in a position that I do not want to be in? So to me, that is shadow work. So first things first, if any of this is resonating, I will link that up in the description box. You might want to check out that journaling exercise. And secondly, I have a playlist on this channel that I've entitled Shadow Work. So any reading that I've done where I feel like there's some sort of mention of it or description of it or anything like that, I put videos in that playlist that somehow relate to shadow work. So that particular playlist might be helpful for you to check out at this point. Because again, I'm definitely, just even with the card, you mean, doesn't it just have the essence of shadow work? Well, and it's just so interesting. It's like, we've got this like dark essence, right? And it's coupled with this paradox of this like bright yellow tulips, which to me, not only is it speaking of healing and wish fulfillment, like the star card, this moving forward, powerful new beginnings. But there's also this like illumination energy to it, isn't there? And so that's like the power to me of shadow work is we're illuminating the shadows. We're illuminating the blind spots so they don't have to hold us back anymore. And I'm definitely, aren't you getting that sense? Like the paradox here of what shadow work entails with the imagery of this card and the beauty and brightness of the flowers. It's so cool. So shadow work is not easy, as you probably know, but it certainly is rewarding eventually. And again, that's what the star card to me speaks about. It's the rewards we get through healing. And those rewards are not superficial, and they're not like an arbitrary gold star. Those rewards are like deeply, deeply satisfying because they're related to us liberating ourselves from the deep, dark shackles that we have, that we adopted, whether in our early childhood or beyond, that we didn't know how to free ourselves from. And so there's just like, there's a paradox to shadow work where it's some of the most joyful work on the planet, but not always when you're in the midst of it. So I myself have needed a lot of support, a lot of resources, a lot of time to do my shadow work. It's something that's still really important to me as a practice, so to speak, of just like kind of always assuming there's a blind spot I need to illuminate if there's a discomfort issue in my life. Not in a way where I need to make myself feel bad about it or shameful, but just like there's probably something more here for me to understand. If I'm not understanding, if there's a discomfort or difficulty I'm going through, it's likely there's some aspect of the Eight of Swords that I'm holding myself back. And if I can bring that from unconsciousness to consciousness in with some sort of practice, again, therapy, journaling, so on and so forth, then there is such reward to that. There's such beauty, or I'll at least speak from my own experience. I have found such incredible, I mean, what's coming to me is bounty, which is like weird, but such incredible bounty. That is accurate in any practice I've done that can fall under that idea of shadow work. So I definitely suggest. So like let's look at this. I'm just like noticing here. See how we've got, okay, so here we have the Eight of Swords in reverse and a Four of Swords upright. First of all, again, remember in her deck, she calls the sword suit voices, which I sort of love because it's like, the voices we're willing to listen to, right, is what maybe swords can represent sometimes. But do you see how here, look at that. She is blindfolded, again, representing where we're blind to how we're holding ourselves back. And here she's got like light shooting from her eyes. How crazy is that? Again, doesn't this card feel like the Four of Voices? Doesn't that feel like this arrangement too? That's wild. But to me, that certainly represents this like bringing awareness to, opening our eyes, illuminating things, seeing things more clearly. And the Four of Swords is a card of rest and healing. So you have a lot of healing cards here. This idea, Four of Swords can often be like not only rest and healing, but meditation, stillness, slowing down. I mean, clearly she's in a restful state. So there's definitely a call to that in this reading. And then right at the center of your reading, we've got the Two of Materials, the Two of Pentacles. And so I think there is a request from Spirit, a message from Spirit that some changes are in order in the tangible sense in your life. So there certainly is some rest and healing, meditation, so on and so forth that seems like it would be very noteworthy for you to do, and to not neglect the tangible aspects of your life. The material suit or the pentacle suit to me represents the tangible aspects of being human, how we're getting our needs met, and all the different like negotiations we do with each other on how that's happening. Especially if you live with somebody, you're in an intimate relationship, there's so many negotiations of how we help each other meet our needs. And sometimes, I mean, in business, everything really, we're such interdependent creatures, right? And so we can get our needs met with each other and by ourselves in really healthy ways, and we can get them met in really unhealthy ways. And so I think there is a request from Spirit that you look at how you're getting your tangible physical needs met as a human being. And if there's any ways that as you're doing your healing work, you identify like, ooh, that's not such a healthy way. Maybe I'm using maybe I didn't realize it, but I'm being passive aggressive here. Or maybe I didn't realize it, but I'm guilting here. Maybe I didn't realize it, but I'm not standing up for myself here. Any big or small changes you can make in that regard, baby step by baby step, it seems like it's going to be really impactful on this journey of healing. So although there is kind of like a ethereal vibe to your reading in terms of like really looking at those intangible, invisible forces, the voices, the thoughts, the energy that's holding us back, there also wants to be this very grounding aspect, especially because this one, I believe, came out first and is, again, wants to be right at the center of your reading of while you're doing some of this intangible stuff, to really also be looking at the tangibles of life, at how you're getting your physical needs met, and really to be curious about, is this healthy or not? You know what I mean? Like we don't, I mean, this is easier said than done, but we really don't have to shame ourselves in the change process, right? And as I say that, that's something I am constantly working on too. How can I change without shaming myself? So I'm not saying that it's easy, but I am saying, what I'm trying to say is when I just think more in the terms of like, is this healthy or not? And if it's not healthy and I'm doing it, it's most likely I just like didn't know, which I think is the case for most people, right? Like we grow up in a certain way in certain cultures and families and subcultures, and we have blinders on of like we think sometimes like this is the only way to do it. This is the only way to do a relationship, or this is the only way to do a friendship, or this is the only way to do, get my housework done. And this is the only way, but really there's like infinite number of ways, right? Which is what liberating ourselves from the Four or the Eight of Swords, and what the rest and stillness and meditation from the Four of Swords can help us understand is like, oh, maybe there's infinite number of ways to do things. And if I can more and more just get curious, like, is this actually healthy? Are there resources on the principles? For me in my life, what's really worked is just getting really curious about the principles of health in any area of life. So whether you're talking your actual physical health, whether you're talking relationships, finances, like what actually equates to principles of health. So not somebody telling me exactly the path I have to go or choices I have to make, but more just like what are the principles upon which a solid foundation is built, right? And then to more and more notice like, ooh, I'm not aligning with those principles. I could shame myself. That's an option. Shame never actually leads to change though. So if I can just see the difference between what I'm doing for whatever reason, typically again, it's what we learned growing up and we haven't learned how to correct it yet, right? If I can just see it like, ooh, there's the difference and I got to figure out how to bridge that difference, and that's going to take some time. And I can do it one baby step at a time. But do you see how like the power in that? You just notice the principles and then where you're at in terms of aligning with those principles, super far away or getting, or pretty lined up. And then the goal isn't like to go from super far away to lined up immediately, right? The goal is just like, am I getting closer to that alignment one step at a time? And I think that that beautiful combination of that grounded combination of like really just looking at how to be healthy in all areas of your life as a physical human while you're doing the more ethereal work of changing the way you're thinking, and changing how invisible forces, and by that I don't mean like demons or something. I just mean like the invisible forces such as like relationship dynamics or like dynamics of things, right? While you're looking at that, you're also, as a part of that, just looking at how to be healthy and get your physical needs met, and being flexible about that. Because this card, is really giving, we've got typically what shows up in the Two of Pentacles card in most decks is going to be this infinity sign. But in this particular depiction of it, isn't it giving you like flexibility? Like a willingness to move things around, a willingness to see things differently, a willingness to try things differently. There's a flexibility to, versus like, the Eight of Swords is upright, is there's a rigidness, right? But we're detoxing that Eight of Swords, and now there's a flexibility required at how you're doing and being and looking at things, that is going to lead to so much healing And in that healing, that true, embodied, grounded, satisfied wish fulfillment that's in alignment not only with your innate being and your innate purpose and preferences, but is in alignment with what is innately healthy in all areas of your life. So this is like gorgeous reading. It's a gorgeous reading to look at. It's really beautiful energy. So I really appreciate you tuning in, and I certainly wish you all the best on this fruitful and beautiful healing journey that you're on.